Police of the media, I'd like to encourage you to please put your phone on silent and let me be very attentive. If I call to the press conference. Distinguished police of the media, television viewers, Facebook followers, our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, all of the community decisions that are joining us this afternoon, I'd like to say thank you for the concerts in the refurbished Charles Leon Press Hall. It's often said that situation dictates and protocol change. I give you the media advisory. The indication is that Minister Pia will address the press conference. If you have notified your public on your social media, I encourage you to have the Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs. That's why I just said situation dictates protocol change. So Minister Hon.Sando is the Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs. Minister Sando will address today's press briefing. He will speak to you on issues of national concern. Minister Sando is playing from the left and right. On the left is the Deputy Minister for Culture and Tourism, Minister Gadiatu Content Buhari, and also TrueLiberia journalist also went through the rank and file in the media practice, served in public relations. We also have Honorable Blakey, the Deputy Minister for Technical Services, manages the New Liberia newspaper, the production of the magazine. He got oversight responsibility on motion page. Former Minister Councilor, former senior reporter of Front-Page Africa. So the ministry is rich. And then the man who also formerly managed the New Liberia newspaper uninterruptedly, the Deputy Minister for Technical Services then, now the Deputy for Press and Public Affairs. He has the opportunity to serve in two capacities here. By the honor of the President, I have the most senior honor to invite on the national podium the youngest Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs, the government spokesperson, Hon.Sando.
That was the voice of the acting Assistant Minister for Information Services, Lawrence and Family, and this is Honorable Hon.Sando, Deputy Minister for Press and Public Affairs. So this is ELBC 99.9 FM and LNTV Liberia Live program.
Everybody, good afternoon to my colleagues on the high table. It is always a pleasure to be back at the Ministry of Information. It is always a pleasure to mount this sacred podium to speak to all of you, members of the press, to speak to our dear people, our country, talking about the position of the Liberian government on issues, giving you updates on unfolding development across the country, locally, and on the international scene. It's always a pleasing duty. Last week we had the privilege of representing the government of Liberia through this ministry at a very important event. The regional conference on information integrity in West Africa and the Sahel was held in the island nation of Cabo Verde, and we were there to represent the government of Liberia. Why was the conference organized? The conference was organized because leaders across the West African region have come to the realization that disinformation, misinformation, and hate speech pose potential threat to democracies and governance around the world. And so UNESCO, jointly working with the government of Cape Verde, organized a conference. And the work you do here was the topical issues. The emergence of new media and how new media has shifted the media landscape around the world and how people are using new media to spread disinformation, misinformation, and hate messages against them. So at our conference, we deliberated, the policies adopted, the policies will be communicated to the government of Liberia, and action will be taken. As I have always said to you, the way you is support the government. Sometimes there's a need for content moderation because the trend that events have now taken suggests that if we don't place emphasis on information integrity, content regulation, and moderation, somebody will use a cell phone to spark chaos that will lead to destruction of lives and property. Already there are instances where people use their social media blogs to spread hate messages. I've been following, there's a Liberian lady who is now she's been trending on the internet. I don't know her, I wish to see her in person. She's a victim of bullying, internet bullying. And I see Liberians are reaching out to her, which is good. To every good innovation, there's a bad side. Of course, social media is good. New media is good, not just social media. I'm standing behind the podium in this room, and thousands of people are following what I'm saying about through the means of your various social media feeds. I'm using it for good reason. There are others who will use it for bad reason. And so, the information I will seek to disseminate is not void of integrity. If you have a news blog, you want to write a story, you want to do any publication, let's know that there has to be some truth about what you want to write. It should not be about hate messages. Let it just be about what you have passion for, which is journalism. So we are in secret with our young lady, and we want to commend those who have reached out to her to identify with her this route. So we are back. Now we'll continue from where we stopped. The press conference was ongoing while I was away. And we are pleased to announce that the government of Liberia, in partnership with the European Union, has set a date for the hosting of the Liberia-EU Business Forum 2026. The forum will be held in Brussels from the 24th to the 25th of February 2026. It will be held on the theme, the acts in the arrest. Invest in Liberia 2026. The Liberia EU Business Forum 2026 is more than an investment event. It is a gateway to building sustainable partnerships that foster growth
innovation and resilience in Liberia. The forum will highlight investment opportunities within Liberia's arrest agenda for inclusive development, a 5-year strategic plan that is driving inclusive to set the Europe path towards middle income status. The arrest agenda focuses on agriculture, roads, rule of law, education, sanitation, trade, and tourism. Opening zero avenues for foreign direct investment and partnership. Over 2 days, the forum will feature high-level plenary sections, investment showcasing Liberia's potential, and networking events. The forum will bring together Liberian and EU policymakers, investors, business leaders, and members of the Liberian diaspora, creating a dynamic platform for strategic dialogue, technical exchange, and concrete deal-making opportunities. We are following the effort by the government. You know, accountability is one of the pillars of this government. So the LACC has been doing a lot, and as part of our job, we always follow these entities of government, follow their activities, to have an insight of what they are doing, so that we can be better positioned to communicate very effectively on behalf of the government of Liberia. So the LACC is or has concluded investigation. And the next step there is to go to the court for indictment. So the LACC has secured more indictments to prosecute several local government officials in Bapolu and Lofa County, in Bapolu, and senior officials of the Lofa County University. I read that again. The LACC has secured more indictments to prosecute several local government officials in Bapolu County and senior officials from the Lofa County University. In Bapolu County, the indictment has to do with the Bapolu yellow machine procurement process. The LACC announced that the 16th Judicial Circuit has returned a true bill on all counts of indictment against several county officials in connection with the procurement and management of heavy duty equipment. Writ of arrests have been issued and served on the following individuals: Sam K. Zina, former superintendent, Bapolu County; J. Kaya Sa, former superintendent, Bapolu County; Anthony Yoko, former fiscal superintendent, Bapolu County; Robert Bender, former chairperson, Bapolu Project Committee. The charges stem from the alleged acts of corruption, abuse of public resources related to the acquisition and handling of machinery intended for the county development. The indictment is a result of an extensive investigation carried out by the LACC and reflects the government's commitment to ensuring accountability and transparency in public service. on the individuals from the Lofa County University. The LCC confirms that the 10th Judicial Circuit Court in Lofa County has indicted Dr. Isaac P. Patmo, President of the Lofa County University, along with former President Dr. Samuel Ngama and several former senior officials of the institutions. For what? Alleged involvement in acts of massive corruption. The indictment issued on Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025, is based on evidence provided by the LACC following a comprehensive investigation into financial irregularities totaling approximately $410,000 US dollars and Liberian dollars 13.3 million. The individuals indicted from the Lofa University include, I have a full list here, Dr. Isaac P. Patmo, President, Dr. Stephen K. Ngama, former President, Mr. Katawi, Vice President for Administration, Mr. Victor Patmo, Board Chair, Madam Annie Flomo, Co-Chair of the Board, Mr. Anthony C. Creighton, Administrative Assistant, Mr. Peter C. Taylor, former Controller, Mr. Vamoya Kane, Aliyu Kamara, Mr. Amara Sharif. According to the LCC, the charges include economic sabotage, theft of property, mismanagement of entrusted property, criminal conspiracy, conflict of interest, and abuse of office for private gain. The indictment highlights several financial malpractices, including that accused officials authorize and disburse public funds without documentation or work performed. Notably, a retreat budgeted at US $3,350 was never held, yet a check was issued in the name of Madam Flomo with no record of reimbursement to the University Finance Office. The LACC says the action of the defendant violates provisions of the Public Financial Management Law, the National Code of Conduct for Public Officials, and the Penal Code of Liberia. Beyond going out there and making a case, the government by itself is making some expenditure in the sector. So the government of Liberia has procured several state-of-the-art X-ray machines to strengthen the country's diagnostic capacity and improve healthcare delivery across health facilities in the country. The machines, which are currently housed at the Central Medical Store near Monrovia, will soon be distributed to major hospitals nationwide. The newly acquired equipment includes, the specification is here, but the procurement of these machines marks a great effort in the government's drive to decentralize specialized healthcare services and provide timely, accurate diagnostic support to patients. We continue to observe improvement in the way certain sectors in the country have been managed since the inception of the government. And don't forget, upon the inception of this government, the price of petrol was very high. At some point, we experienced acute shortage of the products, and it led to across the country, it paralyzed economic activities, and the entire country came to a standstill. The LPRC and the Ministry of Commerce have been working seriously well so that the prices are reduced to an appreciable level that makes life easier for our people. So on yesterday, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, in close consultation with the LPRC, announced new ceiling prices for petroleum products on the Liberian market. The prices were adjusted as follows. As per the adjustment, the price of fuel has been reduced by 10 cents, while the price of gasoline has also been reduced by 7 cents. This means that the retail price for a gallon of gasoline, is now $4.02, or its US dollar equivalent, $805. On the other hand, the retail price for a gallon of fuel has been reduced to $4.05, to $4.33, or its equivalent in Liberian dollar, $865. So while all these development issues are ongoing across the country, there are attempts by some of our friends to continuously paint a negative and distorted picture of the unfoldings in the country. And we follow comments attributed to attributed to the former Solicitor General of the country, Mr. Simmons Seminian-Cephas, to the effect that the living condition in the country is worsening and that Liberians are suffering and that the country is in hardship, hunger, and economic paralysis. Now, prior to the statement, the former Solicitor General has been somewhat balanced in what he says about the country. So, as we have always indicated, we are open to criticism. And we have been following what Mr. Cephas has been saying on the radio, social media, and other platforms. But we just want to respectfully disagree with his assertion. Nobody needs to lecture you about what is happening in the country. So, for example, he said the living condition in the country is worsening. Liberians are suffering. The country is sinking to hardship. His description of the situation in the country is unfounded and untrue. Take for example, how do you know that the level of wool in the country has increased? The living condition in the country, how do you know that it has increased? Is it not by a verifiable access to basic social services? And you all have seen that LC, for example, I used to be Christmas light under their regime, is now so regular As soon as you be posting on Facebook, say carry your leg, one again. But statement that people will want the world to believe that the country is sinking in hardship. Under their regime, and I tend to make this comparison, but sometimes when they said this, they will have to compare. People stood in long lines. They had the money, but they couldn't find bag or rice to buy. You got the videos. Maybe you need to help us to remind the former Solicitor General. So we respectfully disagree with him. His description of the situation is far-fetched. When people were standing in line, they could not find bag of rice. That was economic destitution. You plunge the country in a state of economic destitution. Today, what President Bouaga and his government has done is to what? Reduce the price of the bag of rice from $16.50 to what? $14. Yet, Mr. Sifa says the country is sinking. LWFC connecting new communities every day. The provision of basic social services. Yet, Mr. Sifa will have you believe that the country is sinking. Civil servants, 28,000 civil servants receive salary top-ups to address what they call harmonization. It's a gradual process. 28,000 civil servants. Police officers that were constrained to split their salary to carry the children to hospital are now receiving insurance coverage. 5,000 of them. Yet, Mr. Sifa believes that the country is sinking. Beyond the salary top-up for civil servants in the critical sector, look at the overall condition. When they were here, they credited 83 million for the bank to pay salary for the last 3 months of their administration. Today, this government has to pay back that money. When you heard the final minister talk about some 16 million to central bank, that was what he's talking about. They pay in phases. So not only that the government has made civil service salary current, but the government is also paying their debt. Yet, Mr. Sifa believes that the country is sinking in paralysis. Look at the overall situation, where we find ourselves. On the international stage, from sanction, shame, disgrace, isolation, neglect, on a high table, elected at the apex of global decision making, the UN Security Council. So people believe the country is sinking. Just yesterday, the Minister of Finance announced that Liberia is among some 86 countries recommended by the MCC to the US Congress for a possible compact, from sanction to compact. Yet, Mr. Sifa believes the country is sinking. On the 22nd of September, the team from the US will be here. They're not coming to bluff. They're coming to speak with the government, work with the government, development partners, private sector actors, to identify possible sectors for MCC support. Can't you see the visible sign of progress? They use a ride helicopter and parachute airboats to go to the southeast. Today, in the heart of the winter season, you take 6 hours from Monrovia to the southeast. So these kind of criticism are just deceptive. Because as I have always maintained that there's no parallel between what they did here 6 years ago and what we are doing here. So we beg to differ with the former Solicitor General. Of course, I know people are now taking advantage of the atmosphere. Things that never happened here 6 years ago, some people were never talking, they could not talk because the death squad were at the throat. You know what happened to auditors. You know what happened to critics. Gone are those days. You now have a serious government managing the affairs of the country. And so, yes, criticism is good. And like I said, he made some good points before, which we agree with, but on this one, we beg to differ. The country is on an upward trajectory. An attempt to paint a negative and distorted picture, I just want to say it. Chris man must die. He knows everything. At some point, he was on the radio suggesting that the government should shut down all of the border patrol points around the country, recall all the officers. I mean, just repeal the eye creating the security sector and say we can man the border point with camera. But the DSTV can stand small read. During the days of LA, they were the loudest critic, speaking out against the administration. But guess what happened on the days of the former president? Where they became taciturn, became a dumb bobo, couldn't say anything. You know why? Because of fear for his life. Fear for his life. So once there's a change in administration and you see things going smoothly, we want to abuse the space. So they go to the radio talking blah blah blah, professor know everything. But someone that got very appalling business, the only Liberian politician, I'm not too sure that he's actually won considering the number that he got in election. Go on the radio bragging about weighing of $450,000. And you turn the ministry press conference at a loose store. You got no government experience. The only place you ever work is with DSTV. We will do an assessment of DSTV across Africa. Consolidated group is established in Liberia, the only country in West Africa will have consolidated group office. What they're doing here, they're subscribing. We follow what happened in Ghana. The Ministry of Information insisted that they have to drop their prices. So you got no relevant governmental experience. And you think what we're doing here every day is loose talk, according to you. But the place where you specialize in providing DSTV, the moment the cloud get dark, DSTV crumble. Very poor service. Even though the right to information is enshrined within the Constitution, and Liberia has moved to the instrument like the Abdullah Kamara Act of Press Freedom, which makes information, the right access to information amended. But the minister believes that, Monsiga believes that doing so is a waste of public resources. Though he's enjoying that right. Because if the government decides, okay, say the man say information dissemination is a waste of public resources, they should shut down the Ministry of Information. Who will accredit all of the press related institutions in the country? Who gave the permit to operate? Who vets? So, in this statement, he made a statement when I was in the place there attending the conference on information integrity. These are the people who want to misuse the digital space to mislead the population. During the days of former President Salif, like I said, he was one of the loudest critics. But he's very thin-skinned. Minister Pia made a comment and the man took offense. So he got a lawyer. Minister Pia got his lawyer. And when they called for the conference, the lawyer told him, he said, "Look, my man, that kid that they go to court for, they make a vest. He said, oh, they told me they made another senior brother, you won't go my case. And from the day senior brother left that place, Mr. Pierre had never seen him again. Now he come to say that what we do here is a waste of time. Care very little about things he said. They will not distract us from informing the library about what the government is doing. Have you seen the level of outrage against effort by the government to communicate? You see people go on a platform, okay, they say, class view, where do your class view there? But I'm a mature adult. I come to work 7 o'clock in the morning. When I close my office, I decide to go on a show to talk about the government. How does it hurt you? He said, we shouldn't go on class to talk. We should sit down, with our hands folded, so they can manufacture the lies. But today we have it twice on a weekly basis, which have proved to be very effective. We added additional layers to the government town hall and all the radio talk shows around the country. This we believe is the best way we can adequately inform the library people about the initiatives, the activities of the government, because the people deserve to know. The National Investment Commission and the Turkish Business Board have signed an MOU towards implementing economic diplomacy. The government of Liberia on Saturday, 6 September 2025, through the National Investment Commission, NRC, and the Foreign Economic Relations Board of Turkey, signed a historic memorandum of understanding at the Liberia Chamber of Commerce in Monrovia. The agreement formally establishes the Turkish Liberia Business Council, a platform designed to strengthen trade and invest in new pathways for joint ventures and partnership across priority sectors. The MOU was signed by Mr. Melvin Sharif, the Executive Director of the National Investment Commission, and Mr. Siman Family, President of the Turkish Liberia Business Council, signed. A milestone in Liberia-Turkey relations, the Turkey-Liberia Business Council is expected to serve as a platform for structural cooperation, encouraging private sector partnership in mining, energy, agriculture, finance, and emerging industries such as health and technology, promoting trade expansion and investment flow, facilitating technology and knowledge transfer between Liberia and Turkey businesses, supporting sustained B2B matchmaking and investment aftercare. Partnership with the signing of this MOU reflects Liberia's growing appeal for a destination for investment on the government's arrest agenda for inclusive development. They also highlight the important role of partnership, including the World Bank, through the LIFT projects, the RFC, and the Liberia Chamber of Commerce, in supporting reforms and strengthening Liberia's business climate and unlocking opportunities for private sector investment. Looking ahead, with the Turkey-Liberia Business Council now established, the National Investment Commission will work closely with its Turkey counterpart, relevant ministries, and Liberia business community to ensure that the framework translates into tangible results. The progress will be on building joint ventures, financing projects, creating jobs, and ensuring long-term sustainable economic growth. The NRC reaffirms its commitment to facilitating and supporting investors as Liberia deepens its partnership and positions itself within regional and global markets. So I initially talked about the MCC need, firstly, but I want to throw light on it. So Liberia, along with 86 other countries, has been qualified by the Netherlands Chartered Corporation as candidate countries. The candidate country report presented to the U.S. Congress in accordance with Section 608A of the Netherlands Challenge Act of 2003, authorizes the provision of assistance through the Netherlands Challenge Corporation for countries that enter into a Netherlands Challenge Compact with the United States to support policy and programs that advance the progress of such countries to achieve lasting economic growth. Liberia's candidacy stature is a substantial international validation of the Braga's administration development trajectory, which will help attract additional donors, private sector investment, and technical assistance aligned with the Netherlands Challenge Corporation objective. The countries that are candidate countries for fiscal year 2026 are based on their per capita income levels and their eligibility to receive assistance under U.S. laws that were considered ineligible to receive U.S. economic assistance include Burkina Faso, Ghana, Eritrea, Mali, Guinea. Some of the political people in would say, oh, Burkina Faso, Ghana, Liberia qualified. They say Ghana and Burkina Faso not qualified to receive it. You sit in your country, you don't appreciate the things that are happening. And every day you want to make this wild argument, go Burkina Faso. The country has had its own taste of military leadership. But some people say that I don't know where. The places you compare your country with and see the places better with the country, people there running every day. Haven't you heard that tens of thousands of Burkinabe are in the forest there? So if the country was so beautiful, man falling from heaven, what are you doing here? That will stop it. The designation of Liberia as a candidate country means that we are eligible to potentially enter a Netherlands Challenge Compact with the United States. If a second compact is negotiated and approved for Liberia, we are expected to receive funding to invest in priority sectors identified as bottlenecks to growth. Example, infrastructure, agriculture, governance, human capital, electricity, based on the assessment that we invest in each of these sectors. As a government, our goal is to catalyze economic expansion and reduce poverty. Meanwhile, a team, the NCC, will arrive in Liberia on September 22nd to work with the government, private sector actors, and development partners to identify possible sectors for MCC support. So prior to his departure, His Excellency, the President issued a presidential directive mandating property tax compliance, not just for everybody in the country, but for public officials. This action is a further manifestation of the President's determination to run a government based on accountability and transparency. Of course, property tax is one area where we are lacking behind. So the president is saying to get this started, before we go to the other people who got horses, who got property, say pay taxes, those who are in government should pay your taxes. So the president has issued a presidential directive requiring all appointed public officials, directors, and male level managers to immediately settle their outstanding real property tax obligations in line with the National Code of Conduct and the Liberian Code. The directive emphasizes that all officials must pay all outstanding property taxes for privately owned properties, settle tax obligation for fiscal year 2025, clear arrears from previous years, or enter into a binding payment agreement with the Liberian Revenue Authority. Obtain and submit a valid tax clearance or tax certificate within 60 days. The deadline for full compliance is October 31st, 2025. The LRA, in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, the Civil Service, the directive further mandates the LRA, in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, the Civil Service Agency, and the Bureau of Civil Enterprises to oversee the verification enforcement. Failure to comply will constitute a violation of the National Code of Conduct and the Revenue Code, attracting penalties including interest charges, salary deductions, withholding of benefits, and other sanctions as prescribed by law. President Bwaka further encouraged members of the legislature and judiciary to demonstrate equal accountability by ensuring their assets are free of incumbency, including unpaid taxes, and by submitting the tax clearance certificate to their respective secretary. So I'm talking about those in the legislature and judiciary. But if in the executive you think this mandate, this directive is a joke, ask the people who were suspended for not declaring their assets. We have a compliance date, October 31st, 2020.
That was the voice of Deputy Minister Honorable Hon.Sando versus Honorable Joe making my PR, Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism.
Yeah, James Bala.
Oh, James.
Yes, sir.
No, firstly, I just wanted to be on the record to say congratulations to Mr. Sam Steve Koya, who have been named by President Waka State for Presidential Affairs and the Chief of Staff to the President. I have known Steve over a decade plus. He comes to public service with deep level of professionalism. He's actually a cool head, great level of integrity, and a serious performer. There are many who were qualified to be Minister of State. But I think he is a better option, which does not suggest that all the other contenders were not qualified, that any of them could do the job. But don't forget that Steve has been the Chief of Staff to President Waka when he was the Vice President. So they both do have a deeper understanding of who they are professionally like many have said, I believe his appointment is a signal. The President opted for continuity in what was happening in the office of the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs. So on behalf of MICAT, I thought to formally and officially congratulate him, and as a member of the cabinet assure him of my cooperation and support in the discharge of his duty. When we talk about the ministry, we decided to diversify how we should communicate. And we brought in different things to do. One of the things we thought to do was to, on a monthly basis, produce a magazine that catalogs what the government is doing. We had the support of interviews through USAID to undertake that project on a monthly basis. And immediately we finalized to roll out the project, the USAID situation started, because USAID is supposed to provide the funding for interviews to support growth. We didn't give up. We readjusted and decided that because we didn't have external support anymore, and because we don't have any budget appropriation for printing magazine, so we'll find a way to do it, but we'll do it quarterly. So we did the first edition, and we are now ready to release the second edition. I have a copy here with me. The first time we did it, we printed it also from Nigeria in Ghana. But we realized we have to support our country, we have to support our real businesses. So we took the ultimate gamble of producing here. And we think the quality is okay, we can manage it, it's good. So this is the second edition. It's focused primarily on the government's effort to end impunity and to ensure accountability. So you see, ending impunity, accounting for the past, the done of accountability and transparency. What this magazine does is that it showcases the work of all the anti-corruption institutions, GSC, LACC, IAA, FIA, the Office of Ombudsman. All of them are captured in this edition because the edition is meant to tell the story about what the government is doing to fight corruption. Another kind of program which we also introduced, we launched the median edition the other day, is the government town hall. This coming weekend in Saniquile, Nimba County, we'll host the second edition of the government town hall. Moderated by journalist John Colley. The event will take place with the Vice President of Liberia being the chief presenter, accounting for what the government has been able to do in the past 1.5 years. And he will be accompanied by a higher level delegation of cabinet officials from the Ministry of Public Works, from the Ministry of Health, from the Ministry of Education, from the Ministry of Information, for different places. They were accompanying the Vice President of Nimba. I'm supposed to be out of the country, but I thought to push my departure to next week because I want to, since it is my ministry program, I want to lead a group of people who are taking the Vice President to me. What the town hall does is what we all do here. For you, you are journalists, professional journalists who are doing your job. But what the town hall does is that it provides a bigger space, bigger tent, to bring the ordinary people. So civil society actor, writer, market women, students, everybody. You dialogue with them. They have a chance to ask you questions directly on things that are of concern to them, and you give them an answer. So we believe the town hall is a perfect initiative that we will continue to pursue, even in the midst of difficult financial constraints. I think it's the best thing to do because it brings us face to face with the citizens to whom we are accountable. So the ministry is doing what it can do to diversify communication, whether it is the newspaper that comes out 3 times a week, whether it is what the folks at Lina are doing, or what the magazine is doing, or what the town hall is doing, or what the press briefing is doing. Just in multiplicity of approaches and enables the government to communicate well and communicate. We continue to do so as we even work to make the working environment where our people are very conducive, even though, as Daniel said, that the proposal of the individuals you are responding to, who consider that money spent at the Ministry of Information are wastage. That also means the $2.1 million that the government spends every budget year to pay civil servants is a waste. Imagine in this period of the lack of jobs, and consider yourself being a member of the working force here at the ministry, and your salary, something that is enabling you and your family to live, to send your children to school, to go to the hospital, something you're entitled to as a citizen. It's your right to employ. Somebody said that money that's being spent on you is a waste. Keep that at the back of your mind, so that when that person comes tomorrow and tells you they want me president, you know who they are. How do you call? So, for example, you, Phyllis, right? They will pay you every month. Imagine that way. Imagine that way. They won't stop it. So you can fall short of feeding your family, taking care of yourself. In other words, you should be jobless. Because he says the job you are doing is worthless. But their fruits, you shall know them. Let me give you the chance to ask a question to Daniel. You all have an election and I see Republic coming back to wrong or what? I saw the man the other day here started the match, so I was surprised to see him. You're watching very well. You should not manipulate that. You'll be after the election.
So that's 8 less 8 questions unanswered by voters.
So my name is Bala, and I'm vote for Honorable Minister, you spoke about prices reductions across the country, which is satisfactory, and we are witness of seeing some commodity prices being reduced on the Liberia market. But my attention has been drawn to the issues of non-fares in this country. We found out that the government of Liberia will work hard in making sure that they reduce the prices of gasolines on the market, but the transport fares remain high on the market. Like for me, from Calcutta, I pay $300 in the taxi to come. So what is the government of Liberia doing in making sure that when there is a reduction in gasoline prices, it means that there should be a fare that will commensurate with the reduction? And the next one is we see the fast reductions in the U.S. rate. Is that the mandate from the government, or is it fear that the people are reducing the prices of U.S. on the market? Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ishmael Loken, and I work for Punch Radio Liberia. I have one question, but before I ask, I just need a little clarity on Deputy Minister Hon.Sando. When you talk about the indictment at the LACC, You mentioned one of Victor Patmo. I'm concerned. Are you referring to the Bishop of the Lutheran Church in Liberia? And my question, what's the status of Nicotech scholarship? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Mopolu, and why I run the multimedia report for Insight Liberia. So my question goes to Minister Sando. One of the good things that the government, people saying that she's doing is the issue of the program Pak Lono, intended to call the people to talk in Bonkante, that's the intent, or that's the meaning. But I heard of the program where you're calling people to sit and have a national conversation, and then you going back for people who have criticized the government, for example, Simon Fremont, knowing that these people have followers, they influence their followers. Don't you think that, you know, going back for them because they have criticized the government has a propensity, you know, to just not...
What a question?
I'm asking a question. Going for these people, why you already want to have conversation with them?
You said going for them, what do you mean?
Minister Sando just reacted to these people because they criticize.
Somebody going after them?
No, but when you...
The election you're going to have, the opposition says something, you will clap for him.
No, but I'm not government now.
You can't be government. You human being. Somebody says something that is not right, you clap for them, you can clarify. Now you mean? And when you clarify that, you go after them.
You the mother of all the children. All right, so...
You know that you're child. Everything you do that is skill. Your words that the government put your children. See everything.
But then let me leave it because I concern how.
So, my name is Joseph Salif, and I report for ABC Radio and TV. My first question goes to, I just need status report on the minister informed us that since the government signed preliminary, I want to use a word, hands-on concessions with Ivango group of company, you inform us that you are bringing the sectoral ministry and agency to come and give us details information on the status of that investment. So I want to know what's the current information centering around that. And lastly, we're informed that the government of Liberia are building a regional bridge, I believe, between Africa and Liberia. I want to know what's the current status on that bridge that the government of Liberia are building. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Desmond William, and I report for Democracy Watch newspaper. My concerns, I'll put it into context, which is three. But the first concern is the government is doing honestly well, I must admit, in terms of prices reduction with the recent policy on the petroleum price reduction. But citizens are more concerned about the policy on the rice and flour production, that was done last week on the issue about wholesale. How the government intend to make this policy more proactive? Because, for example, at Desmond Young, I go to Minister Pia warehouse to buy wholesale at the rate of $14, and then I go to all the way Boajik in Grand Creek County, and I say because of the transportation, so I decided to sell it $17. Nobody going to regulate, nobody going after me. I say, oh, but that is left open. But what is more restrictive is you must buy the rice, the 25 kg, at a minimum of $14. But the retailers, the market is open in a sense. Anybody can sell it at any price with the justification of the fresh cost, which is the transportation they have paid from wherever place the well was situated and the boiled. So how do the government intend to minimize the retail price on the issue of rice, just as you have done it with petroleum? And the second concern is intense, as part of the president's agenda of accountability and transparency, the LCC has indicted several other government officials. Precisely, I want to throw emphasis of the Lofa County University head, which is Asip Padmo, Mr. Asip Padmo. Poda, yes, sorry, Dr. Asip Poda. Dr. Asip Poda, who is the head of the university, has been indicted for multiple corruptions allegations. We saw in this country just a few months back when the NOCA boss, Roasting Sokoko Dennis, was also indicted. Following her indictment, she was suspended by the president. Is the president in any way taking into consideration the suspension of the president of the Lofa University College or university, as a matter of fact? And my last concern is Minister Pia to the government. In terms of public information, I think, in my opinion, it is important for you to give the Liberian people, especially the rural citizens in the southeastern region, a little form of appreciation about the president's visit out of the country. You said a whole lot, but you didn't really throw emphasis on the president's visit out of the country. The president traveled to the U.S. Liberians in the interior want to know, what have the president going to do? How long will he stay? And what are the possible tangibles, in the president's activities there in the U.S.? Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much. My name is George Salif, and I report for Quality Newspaper, Quality Television. Quality Newspaper, Quality Television. My question to Mr. Sando. I'm concerned about the issue of the indictment coming from the LACC. I listened to you talking about these people, officials that were indicted by the LACC. Now, Liberians out there are also concerned, wanting to know, are there any penalty actions following the indictment from the LACC? If yes, how effective will it be? Because they want to know there's a lot of rumors that when the government indict people, the case don't go anywhere in that normal Liberian term. So they are concerned, wanting to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the questions.
My name is Magdalene Sarr from ERBC. My condolences to Minister Pia. So my question has to do with the Liberia EU Business Forum. I want to know, be interested. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? Journalists representing their respective questions.
So those are all the questions. This is responses by Hon.Sando, the Minister for Press and Public Affairs.
The Ministry of Transport regulates the transport sector. What is the official price list on the Ministry website? I would suggest you contact the Ministry website for future practice because they publish it there. And the LRC itself and the Ministry of Transport has said not every reduction in the price of the petroleum product will necessitate a reduction in the price of the transport. Right? So we'll have to look at the list. We update it from time to time, but it's good before you ask this question to consult the list. There's a Ministry of Information. There's not having whole Liberia. We announced that the government is having Hon.Sando. If having was supposed to make publication and they didn't make that publication, we cannot answer for them. So to come to the press review and say, what is the status of having whole Liberia being? I don't speak for the government. The bridge is being built in rural Liberia, what the Kabbalah River between Ivory Coast and Liberia. It is in progress. The road from here to the side is okay, so it's not going to verify you can go there. Somebody asked for a policy on the reduction in the price of flour, rice, and the enforcement mechanism. What you need to understand is that the government did not announce the price in isolation. Whatever decision that was announced by the president was derived from a consultation held with the importers. Right? Was derived from the, don't forget, the president set up an ad hoc committee on July 26th. Right? That committee was tasked with the responsibility of assessing the price on the market, with the conditions around import and everything, and advise the president. So all these decisions about reduction in the price of rice, chicken, egg, flour, this, that, and others will be announced are derived from the consultation that's being held by that committee, which is headed by the Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Liberia. So, on the enforcement mechanism, of course, the Ministry of Commerce announced immediately after this decision was announced by the President, the reduction was announced, the Ministry of Commerce issued a statement that their inspectorate team was being deployed across the country to enforce the directive from the President. It is so because the importers have already agreed. So somebody raised the issue of, oh, why if I have goods in stock before this directive was issued by the president? Why would the importers and have announced a reduction in the price? There's no need to resist. Because that decision didn't come from out of the clear blue sky. The president didn't just say that one morning and say, oh, I'm going to the market without announced reduction. Consultation from July. In that September year, so July took the whole of August. They have meetings. And I sure some of you heard about those meetings. So enforcement on the reduction of the price, there's no problem. The Ministry of Commerce is prepared. President should suspend. When the president cannot suspend when the LCC has already investigated, gone to the court, gotten an indictment. There's nothing the executive can do about it. You know how the system is organized. The judiciary is not executive. When people go to court, they are indicted. You have to give them the time to face the judicial process. Seeking the intervention of the executive will mean that the executive will be undermine the independence of the judiciary. And you certainly do not want that kind of situation. That's when the president left the country yesterday. The executive mansion announced the president's departure, what the president is going for, when he will come back. He announced it right. They didn't have to restate what the mansion already announced yet. He spoke positive for rural Liberia. So, similar question. There's no action that the executive can take after an indictment because the posts are separate from the executive. So, good thing here is that unlike time pass, where people will be indicted and go, they can't get. I mean, people will be investigated, go to court, the LCC cannot get an indictment. I sure would not appreciate the fact that they go to the court and indict all those the accused. If there are people who are indicted and are still occupying that position, of course, the president in his wisdom will act. But I can tell you when the president will act. The Liberia EU Business Forum, we will contact the embassy to supply all the details of how selection will be done and everything. I can stand from behind the microphone to tell you right now how the selection process will be carried out, whether the trade will be fully funded or not. I can say that. We have to contact the Liberia mission in Brussels for that information. So far, so good. Those were all the questions. Hope I didn't overlook anybody.
The status of the scholarship.
Go to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And what was the next question?
What are the individual family and when is the current the bishop of the district?
No, the person, the poll that I talk about, maybe I'm just pronouncing the name.
Fidel Patmo.
Fidel Patmo or Poda?
The common Fidel Patmo.
Well, the NSCC issued a list. Go ask them. What?
The fast reduction in the US rate is it approved by the central bank or the government?
When the rate go up, the share talk show goes, call for the other community, when the rate in your community. When the rate goes down, you say, oh. What do you want? You want the rate go up? Yeah, so the government will work to ensure that the decline in rate is reflected in the price of commodity. But you should know it's not over 19, right? I'm not an economist. And one thing I will not do is to play pretense of knowledge. Those who know about it, the economic situation will come out and interpret to it. But what I do know is that when the rate is declining, there shouldn't be no clamor, right? Because when the rate goes up again, in the money over. According for them, the rate at 205. According for them, the rate at 300. So the rate dropping down. The same forces that can carry the rate up, that the same forces bringing it down. You know, so that's good to see why the central bank or the Ministry of Finance will say as far as the decline in exchange rate is concerned. Thank you.
So that was the voice of Deputy Minister for President and Public Affairs of MICAT.
The SCC does an judgment. This is the best. It is not the Ministry of Information responsibility to add or subtract from the list. If the list says Desmond William, and it doesn't continue to say Desmond William the journalist, we can come and say Desmond William the journalist. The list has the name of one partner. It didn't say Bishop Partner. So we can't call him Bishop Partner, nor can we say to you that the person whose name is there is the bishop of this church, because they didn't say that. You gotta be keen and strategic when you communicate. Don't say what the original source of the information did not say, because then that's your own wedding. Like I said, a number of government officials will accompany the vice president. Key among them are all the arrestable ministers. Agriculture, rule of law, rules, blah, 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 blah. So the distinguished Minister of Agriculture, whose sector is the first pillar of the arrest agenda, will also be on the delegation to escort the vice president. The arrest agenda is our instrument for governance. So what the vice president is going to be accounting for that has happened in the last 1.5 years will be focused or foundation on that agenda. So all those ministers who are pillar leaders will be there. We're going to include the Minister of Agriculture, who in my opinion is doing a good job. What the policy position the president issued are very important. But one of the reasons why you see the prices of food products dropping, including rice, is because local production has been enhanced. And the road network that You have the option to eat potato today, to eat plenty tomorrow, to eat every other day, to eat rest of the day. The more sources of food you have, it will affect the prices in other areas. And that credit must be given to that time. I want to close with having an opinion on CFO's advice. CFO is a very good friend. CFO and I were schoolmates and classmates at the university. In fact, it will interest you to know that both CFO and I read agronomy, even though he's not a lawyer. And I'm in public communication. We both read a science called agronomy. And this CFO did soil science, because agronomy got specialization, and I did plant protection. A good friend, he's on your way here. We're having lunch together. He called me and said, hey, I'm here for us to have lunch. So he's coming. And I'm making all these foundational statements so you know that I don't have a problem with it. But within the space we find ourselves, we can disagree. Somebody says something that we believe is not true. Worsening living conditions in Liberia, the Liberian people are suffering, and the country is sinking into hardship, hunger, and economic paralysis. Those are the words. Strong words indeed that are not good or any scientific evidence. And lawyers are people who speak against the background of evidence. Now, to determine that a country is sinking, you must establish where it's coming from before it's sinking. So where it's coming from was 1.5 years ago. So if it is sinking, that means the condition that exists now is worse than what existed prior to the coming in of the administration. How can that be true? How? They called the leader at that time all kinds of names. He was Barrow medicine. He was darkness medicine. He was everything. There were no roads. There was darkness all over the place. Look, you saw women, women climbing over walls to get food. You know, there are two things here. It's one thing for food cost to be high. It's another thing for it to not just be high, but it's not available. When you see folks climbing over walls, they will get a better rest to buy it. Just it's not available. That is a perfect example of a country sinking in hardship. Now you walk to any store shop, you see red all over the place, and you see it for price far lower than what it was that time we're talking about. Now when gasoline and fuel have refused to go above $1,000 that it was, but even at that price you couldn't see it. So somebody will go sleep in the gas station in the airport rack in their spot to say, this is my space when I come out tomorrow when I wear this thing. Just to get some gallon of gasoline. That's an example of a sinking country in hardship. When people who are public sector workers, you will owe them for up to 3 months. You ask yourself how they were paying their children's school fee, how they were eating, how they were paying rent. You ask yourself. That's a perfect example of a country sinking in hardship. When the leaders of the country lost sight of what governance is, that some of the greatest countries on earth were sanctioning them left and right. people who were charged with the responsibility to give people passport will steal and sell the passport to criminals just to make extra money. That's when you know the country is sinking. Now when communities that are not seeing electricity for 40 or more years are seeing electricity, it means I can plug my freezer, I can pour cold water there, I can sell it, I can cook soup for 3 days, what people do in America, put it in the freezer because it will be preserved to be eaten for that number of days. We didn't have the opportunity yesterday. So farmers are producing their crops, like I said, and those crops were getting rotten in the villages. They can now bring them to town because farm to market road has improved. All the people can be crying for hardship. And now our people in the villages. When I came from burying my sister, I passed through our village. Then in a few seconds, they brought me half bag of cassava. They got enough to eat. Because they're working to eat. Your hunger you're talking about, you can't tell that to the people in the villages. When you don't want to stay in the village, on a city that was made for 800,000 people, now carrying 2 million people, and some people when they ask to be alive, they say that they have to be. Then some people will be hungry. There are some people can be hungry in America, in Europe, and other places. Who told you because you live in America, so there will be no hungry person there? I can speak to that as a fact because I lived there for the last 6 years. There are homeless people in America, they got nowhere to stay. There are people you pass in the street, they beg you for money. Everybody can praise Ghana. Ghana this, Ghana that. Just get them when you drive in the street. Yeah, the people who beg here, a car will stop first and somebody will walk.